Hey guys, it's Two Review Games or Adam, and welcome back to another part for my 5 things only Season 1 players will remember. You guys absolutely crushed the first episode, so we are back with a part 2. Now, of course, guys, this is where I'm going to mention my giveaway I'll be doing over the month of June. I'll be giving away a total of 20,000 V-Bucks. You guys can enter on all of my Fortnite videos I upload here in the month of June. To enter, it's so simple. All you have to do is drop a like on today's video, subscribe to the channel. Let me guys know right now in the comment section below what platform to play Fortnite on. I'll be picking all winners at the end of the month. So this video will be exactly like our first part. We'll be going over 5 things that only people from Season 1 will remember. And when I first made that video, I had a huge list of things. I didn't use everything, of course. I only used 5 things. And since you guys killed it with the first one, we're doing a part 2. And also, I looked at the comments and you guys had some really awesome suggestions. So I'll be using some of those in this video as well. And if you guys want to help me out for future parts, maybe another part for Season 1 or my Season 3 video, go ahead and let me know right now in the comment section below what is your thing, and of course what season is it in, and maybe I will use your comment in my next video. So starting things off here in the number 5 spot, when we're talking about Season 1, we have to talk about the original Fortnite map. And there were actually, I guess, 2 versions of the map back in Season 1. We had the more recent version, which only had 13 points of interest, and then you had the very original Fortnite map that only had 10 points of interest, because in this version, Tomato Town, Dusty Depot, and Salty Springs weren't named on the map. So the original Fortnite map was really bare, it was really open, and each point of interest was a lot more popular than, say, point of interests are today. Now, what I mean by that is, since now in Season 4 we have a total of 19 points of interest, and plus a ton of other areas on the map that could easily be points of interest but are not, there are just way too many or way more areas to land, so each area won't be as busy. And back in Season 1, for those who played Fortnite back in Season 1, you'll remember that every place you landed was really busy. There was always somebody there. It was always fast-paced and exciting. Sure, the areas between each town or each point of interest was a lot more open and there wasn't much going on. It was still a lot more exciting and a lot different than it is today. So coming in at the number 4 spot on today's list, I want to talk about the bush, because the bush was a really interesting thing and really a big thing back when Fortnite first came out. So obviously I want to talk about bush campers, and of course when the bush costume or the bush potion was added to Fortnite at the beginning of November, because right now in Fortnite the bush is not really used that much. I see it time to time, and bush camping is still annoying, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So when Fortnite first came out, during that month and a half that it had first been out, the biggest complaint had to be bush campers, right? Bush campers were so annoying, and they were very frequent. Compared to now, they were a lot more frequent. I feel like nowadays you barely run into bush campers, but back then when there was no bush costume in the game, bush campers were everywhere. And what did Epic Games do? They added in a bush costume on top of that, and then it got even worse. But ever since then, it has slowly gotten less and less and less annoying, and it's something you just don't really see all that often in Fortnite anymore today. But back in Season 1, for those of you who played Fortnite in Season 1, you will remember how annoying and how frustrating bush campers were. So coming in at the number 3 spot on today's list, we have the original default dance music. So I'm gonna go ahead and play for you guys right now one of the original dance songs that are no longer here in Fortnite, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it a bit more. So that default dance song right there is no longer in Fortnite. So back in Season 1, when you would do the default dance, it would play through 3 songs in a specific order. Now it is only 2 songs, and that song you just heard has been removed from the game, which is of course really unfortunate, just because that was a song you would hear all the time back in Season 1, just because back then, there weren't really a lot of emotes. Now we have so many emotes with the item shop emotes and of course the battle pass emotes. Back then, there weren't really any at all, and this is one song you would hear all the time in the pregame lobby, and it's something I really miss. I think one really cool thing Epic Games could do is take this original default dance song and attach it to another emote, and then release it again in the item shop and have it like really cheap, like 100 or 200 V-Bucks, just for all of those original Season 1 players. Coming in at the number 2 spot on today's list, you guys remember the scoped AR from Season 1, because today in Fortnite, the scoped AR is overall a pretty solid gun. It's really accurate. It's almost kind of like a laser beam. This thing's amazing. The sight is perfect. It's super easy to hit shots, and it's amazing for getting those head glitch kills. People who are head glitching in their base, or they build up a staircase and they're head glitching, it's so easy to knock off a couple of headshots with this gun. But back in Season 1, the scoped AR was a little bit different. So today in Fortnite, this gun's amazing. In Season 1, it was hands down one of the weirdest and worst weapons in the game. I actually had it on my top 5 worst weapons list in Fortnite because it was that bad and it was just such a strange gun. So the first thing was the sight. Today, the sight is absolutely amazing. You have this perfect cross, and when you aim at somebody, your shots actually hit them. Back in Season 1, it was different. You had this red arrow pointing up, and the weird thing about this sight was when you aimed that arrow at somebody, your shots wouldn't hit. Like, just think about that. Aiming at somebody with your sight, and that's not where you have to aim. You actually have to shoot above the person for your shots to hit. So the sight wasn't really accurate, which was one of the strangest things in the world. So the sight was obviously a huge problem, but that was just one of the problems with this gun. The other thing was this gun was overall super inaccurate. And you would shoot at somebody, and even if you had to aim a little bit lower with that sight, your shots still should have hit, but they didn't. Like, your shots wouldn't connect half the time. It was one of those guns that was just so frustrating to use because you didn't really know how to use it. It was just one weapon that was a real head scratcher. They did make some changes to it later in Season 1, but at the start, this gun was hot garbage. Thankfully, now it's improved a ton, but overall, in Season 1, the scoped AR was hands down one of the worst guns in the game. So coming in at the number 1 spot on today's list, for those of you who played Fortnite back in Season 1, I think some of the most nostalgic things aren't really the big things. I talked about some of this stuff in my last video, like when there was no V-Bucks in the game or the Halloween event. These are still, original things, and we see that, it reminds us of, the early Fortnite days. But I think some of the most nostalgic things are things you probably wouldn't think of right away, but maybe if you heard it, it would take you right back to Season 1. Yes, guys, it is the original Fortnite menu music, and when I just hear this, it takes me right back to Season 1. It makes me think of so many things, but first of all, I do have to give a huge shout out to Ollie Ward. He was the person who commented this on my previous episode, and I swear, when I read this comment, I heard it. I heard that music playing in the background, and it just takes me back, and it reminds me of, when I first played Fortnite. It reminds me of when the challenges were first added to the game. It reminds me of that really plain and boring background in the lobby. It reminds me of the default skins and when there was no skins in the game. I absolutely love hearing this menu music, and the new one is okay. Don't get me wrong, it's not a big thing, it's not a big deal, but that right there, like the nostalgia hearing that music is insane, and I'm sure a lot of you who played Fortnite back in Season 1, when you heard that, it just reminded you of the good old Fortnite days. So that's gonna go ahead and wrap up our second part to the 5 things only Season 1 players will remember here in Fortnite. And of course, guys, if you want to help out with future episodes in the series from Season 1, 2, or 3, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what your idea is, what should be on a future list. And of course, while you're in the comments below leaving your comment and you see somebody else left a awesome suggestion, go ahead, leave the comment a thumbs up so I know. And of course, I'll make sure to shout out every single person's ideas I use in my future episodes. Besides that, guys, for the video, drop a like, subscribe for more Fortnite top 5s, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.